Hello everyone, thanks for coming to my talk. I'd like to start by having us go back in time a little bit. Let's all go back to when we opened the space for the very first time. It might have been yesterday, the beginning of this month, or maybe even 3 to 5 years ago. And do you still remember the first time you see other people's cursor moving around, updating the thing you just create, and eventually you guys come up with something together? Before we dive in, I'd like to share a bit about myself. My name is Lichin. I come from CS background, and now I'm a design engineer working at PicCollage. I help designers to live a better life by building a Figma plugin and introduce the latest Figma tips to them. So even though I now work in product design team, I wasn't familiar with the design field until the last year of my college. I took 2 courses about HCI, Human-Computer Interaction Program, to learn about user interview, usability testing, and human-centered design. That changed the way I observe everything that happens around me. And at the end of the course, we need to present our research to others. Our team wanted to work on a poster together. We found Figma at that time and gave it a try. Yes, 2018, it's not that powerful compared to today's, especially we launched dark mode and we already designed auto layout. And as you can see, the first version of the poster made by 3 of us was not good at all. The font system is not set up, and there was no consistent grid layout for the poster. But we just had a great time making things together. I'll leave the poster here and come back at the end of my talk. Today, I'm going to share 5 stories about design together on different scales, from a group of product designers at company, the local Figma community, to a classroom with more than 50 students. Story 1, team. So I joined PicCollage as a design engineer 2 years ago. Before we go into detail, let me give a short intro about our product first. So make anything to celebrate everything. PicCollage is a photo and video making app with over 15 million monthly active users. The app is available on both iOS and Android platforms that allow users to make collages with beautiful fonts, stickers, and animated effects to celebrate every moment. And this is the product design team behind PicCollage. Our team grew from 3 to 9 people in the past few years, and when the team scales up, there's need to bring in new tools and engineering resources to improve the overall work quality. Before I joined the team, we are using Sketch as our main tool to design all the mockup. We use Trello and Zeppelin to help our cross-functional communications. After I joined for a while, we began to experiment with Figma to see what it would look like when all the designers started to collaborate. We quickly encountered issues. Back in the day, designers work independently when using Sketch, but when we work in Figma, it's like a share hub where everyone can enter your file. So how you arrange your file matters. We stop a bit, try to search how other companies work together, and revisit all different kinds of file structure created by designers in the team. We also look into our product development process. There are multiple stages where we want to make sure our file fit in the process so that product designers are always on the same page with our team members. Through iterations, we come up with a way of working that every designer can follow and we can stick to our product development process. We put early concept hand sketch in one page and exploration of wireframes in another page. We also have our flow diagram and spec handoff for developers, all in the Figma file. And that wasn't an easy transition. The entire team spent over 6 months to transferring the old file and all ongoing project to Figma. But through this process, we learned how to work as a team and were able to shape our working culture. I would like to highlight 2 group events in this working process. First one, Design Jam. This is a time where we sit down and explore all different kinds of concepts for our existing product feature and a new idea. So for example, we play around with the empty state on our product. So we have like a version of design says, Santa is too busy to prepare your searching result when you search for a keyword and there's no result at all. Or you are chilling without internet when you open your app but you didn't have internet. And the second one, team strength, inspired by Figma team. It's rare to find a person who can do everything. So knowing each member's strengths and weakness help us understand what's missing part for our team diversity. So during this exercise, we defined several skills that's relevant to PicCollage product designer. Then we started to draw our own chart. At the end, we stacked all the charts into one. The result not only let us know each other better, but also helps for our future recruiting. So by designing together in Figma, our team was able to bridge the gap between team members and work closer than before. Story 2, company. Product designers switched to Figma, which we are now quite familiar with. But how can people outside of the product design team learn about it? How can we help them in becoming more comfortable and get the information they want when they're browsing content on Figma? So every half year, PicCollage hosts InnoFest. And InnoFest stands for Innovation and Festival. It's a 2 to 3 day hackathon event where we can explore a project outside of our daily responsibility. So we will be divided into groups, and people may be paired with someone they never worked with before. InnoFest is really about removing the limitation and build whatever you want in your mind. You can see people build games, NFT projects, a web app, or even film a video about sports day. So during this period, we let non-designers try Figma. Some of the group use it to design user interface and branding, and surprisingly, they are actually good at making those things. And for the demo time, we also suggest people to try out prototyping feature instead of just using some paper prototype to present. And this was one of the amazing demos from my colleague, who spent only 1 day to learn how to use interactive prototype in Figma. And I believe she had basically learned all of the feature. Yeah, it's super amazing. Some of the projects were selected to continue development after InnoFest, such like Typro, a typography generating app, or Walshi, a pattern tape coloring app. This is the company culture I really appreciate. We start something we all like together, and then we turn it into a product that others will enjoy as well. We want to move forward since more people in the company are aware of Figma. So we started holding Figma workshop. The workshop should be inclusive. That means everyone in the company is invited, but it's optional and casual so that everyone is free to join and can leave at any time. We also made our exercise quick and simple so that people don't feel pressure when picking up a new tool. We learn how to navigate and select correct element in Figma with the game Hide and Seek, and learn how to give other people feedbacks by using Figma's common feature in a drawing exercise. Those are some skills we hope every member can know and be comfortable with. It helps when they need to check designers' file in the future. We also send out survey at the end of the workshop to help us know more about how people feel for each session. And of course, we hold Figjam workshop as well. Because we use Figjam for brainstorming events frequently, we would like to share some magic people can play inside Figjam when they host their own brainstorming session. For this workshop, we made a tatami area and let members take selfie with photo booth widget at the beginning, and had an office decoration brainstorming where we demonstrate every Figjam feature, including export sticky into CSV data. Besides those flexible workshops, we also talk to our developers about how to improve the design handoff experience in Figma. We learn how each developer structure a resizable component in code, and try to come up with a solution for designer to follow in Figma file. We use different colors, stroke, and block to annotate the resizing behavior for each component. We even create a Figma plugin to speed up the process and then publish it to community. I encourage every design team to learn a little bit about Figma API. Using Figma API to create annotation, automatic process can help you save a significant amount of time. And you can start from this series written by Dan if you have no idea about API at all. We found the value of Figma API, and we talked to different teams about how to improve our workflow with it. So here's more. We create a plugin called Context Switch that helps PM and marketing people in translating copy on Figma into different language. We create internal Figma plugin that can pull our sticker resource and upload new assets to our server, where Figma serves as a curation tool for our company. We also leverage Figma RESTful API and set up a process to let developers fetch the asset they need through command line. So by designing together in Figma, all of our company members are able to take part in the product development process and get a chance to improve it. Okay. Story 3, Friends of Figma. So 2 years ago, I attended Config 2020, the first in-person Figma user conference held in San Francisco. I met many Figma members and talent creators at the event. We chat, share, and learn from each other. I like the 5-layer and appreciate how Figma emphasized the concept of open design during the event. After returning home, I began to search whether it was possible to start a local Figma group like the one I had just experienced. As soon as I found out about Friends of Figma community, I submitted a self-intro video and filled the application form to become an advocate. Figma returned to my email 2 weeks later, and I was accepted as a Friends of Figma advocate. I then asked some of my friends to join me on this project. We created our Friends of Figma Taiwan's logo that represents bubble tea, and published our very first Friends of Figma event on the website. When our first in-person meetup really happened, I was shocked. Over 70 people visit our office. We had 2 talks for the first half session and a roundtable discussion in the second half, where people introduce themselves and share the Figma experience. This is the first time I've learned how different Taiwanese startup designers use Figma. Even though we have run out of time and the office needed to be closed, some stay longer to connect with each other. I also met so many Figma lovers on the meetup who later become volunteers, helping to shape the community together. I'd like to shout out to all of the volunteers. It's because of them our community can be so creative and fun. As more volunteers join in, we're able to work on new branding, banner design, and start to think about interesting activity for our next event. So for our second event, one of the volunteers came up with an idea called cooking show. Since it's winter, we want to invite people to make a warm bowl of tangyuan, or a Chinese sweet dumpling, and do a 10-people lightning talk after the cooking session. It's more casual compared to our first event, since everyone was busy making their tangyuan. And for lightning talk, since we only give each speaker 5 minutes to share, it's more about demoing the result rather than the process. So during the demo, one of our volunteers showed our own Friends of Figma Taiwan t-shirt, which later became a gift. And then we gave it to one of Figma members who attend to our meetup. So in total, we held 6 in-person and online Friends of Figma events between 2020 to 2021. We've met over 200 Figma lovers, including Hong Kong and Japanese users. So we built our relationship with multiple companies because of the community, and we are able to host creativity events because we design together in Figma. While running Friends of Figma Taiwan, I discovered that I really enjoy talking to people from various backgrounds. So here's the 4th story, social media. I've written down the story I heard from people on an Instagram account called Design Tips Today. And this is a space where I can share posts about design knowledge, such like what is design engineer or intro to design system. I can share awesome Figma tips, such like mastering your shortcut and plugin usage to improve your work speed and quality. And most interesting part, interviewing Taiwanese designers who work in different countries. Oh, and one thing to highlight, all of my Instagram posts are created in Figma and separated by pages, making them super easy to manage and share with people who want to review the copy and content. So in the first 3 months, the account had over 1,000 followers. I knew people were interested in the posts I create, but I wasn't so sure what they really want to know. So how can I shift from what I know to what people need? Thanks to Instagram sticker feature in stories, I was able to interact with my audience through polls, quiz, or a question sticker. For example, I've asked questions like, do you sketch the wireframe on your tablet? Or where do you put your spec annotation and handoff? So this sticker helps me collect different opinions and make it more clear about what something people want to learn. One of the audience members suggests that maybe we can create a series of learning resources and publish them to a Figma community. Then another member come up with an idea about, can we have a plugin that we can open and see tutorial inside of it? By combining these two ideas, we eventually create a way to learn Figma directly inside Figma. People can copy the learning resource files and open the plugin, which plugin will pull all the tutorial content from a Notion document. So it's now way better to learn tips and concepts than before. So I think the best part of running a social media is we are able to design the format of content we want together. We've tried Instagram posts, Figma file, but how about live stream for topic about design system? I love having discussion with designers outside of the company. This gives me a chance to explore about different approach to deal with a difficult problem. And all of the content and resource was not generated by me. I've also learned a lot from people on multiple social media platforms. There are Figma members who share practical prototype tips and concepts about workflow. There are also talent creators who showcase endless possibility of Figma, including making it into a learning hub or even like a powerful automatic machine. So I would say social media is like a garden, which we decide what we want to plant. Just like we can decide the form of the content for social media by designing together, and we all get something we need from it. And last story, classroom. I hope you still remember the poster I showed at the very beginning. So 2 years later after I finished my course, my professor asked me to go back and give a workshop about design and prototype. And then I was thinking about how to give a workshop to a classroom with almost 50 students, where students won't fall asleep because they cannot actually participate, or the material is too boring. And how can I find out how each student is doing quickly? So I checked out some great resources on Figma community, such like Figma Ninja, a game-like experience to learn the basic of Figma and get really fast with shortcuts. And I invited one of my friends to help me co-host the workshop together, so that students can get help more easily when they run into problems. So we come up with a 90-minute Figma workshop. Yeah, I know it's hard for students to learn everything in Figma for just 1.5 hours. So the purpose of this workshop is to let them get comfortable about tools to create anything and learn the collaboration skills. We've given each student a board to work on for each task. With this minimum isolation, they can focus more on the task at the hand and easily navigate through other people's work. And I see creativity everywhere, from a single voting stamp to the button component they made. This has to do with learning together and being motivated by others. We all know that learning new things alone is hard, but if you are surrounded by a group of friends, you might be able to challenge each other and learn it more faster and better. A year later, my professor asked me if I would like to give a sharing about my career to students on one of their courses. So can we make a 60-minute presentation with student and professor more enjoyable? Since we've been using Figjam in our company for a while, I was thinking on bringing the same experience into a classroom. So I create all my slides in Figjam and turn on the open section, a feature to let anyone edit the file even if they don't have any account during the course. And as soon as people hoping, they began following the instruction to do the high fives and cursor chat with friends. And for them, greeting others in virtual space in this way is an unforgettable experience. I can see the cursor following me as I went through the slide one by one. Sometimes they stay there, but sometimes they just start to draw or put stamp on my slide randomly. It suddenly becomes a fun presentation that I can ask students and professor to vote for questions on slides, and we can see the result immediately. Students can express their thoughts on any slide through doodles, stamps, sticky, which directly give me feedback on the content. And of course, we'd have a good photo at the end of this sharing. So we can create those unique classroom experience by designing together in Figma, where both student and I are learning from each other. I would like to wrap up my talk today with a recap. So, design together in Figma helps teams to bridge the gap between each other and work more closely than before. Design together in Figma allow all the company members to take part in the product development process and get a chance to improve the process. We can design together in Figma community, share our creativity through events, and build our relationship across multiple companies. We can design the form of content for social media together, and we all get something we need from it. And finally, we can create a unique classroom experience by designing together, where we learn by teaching, by learning by teaching, and that becomes an endless cycle. So I hope through these 5 stories, you can bring back some ideas and tips to try yourself. No matter what you're working on, it's always better and more fun when we can design together, because you never know what amazing result you'll get at the end. Thanks for listening. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any question. Come work with us if you are interested in PicCollage, and enjoy the rest of a great config. Thank you.